About to be live with Justin Trudeau. Today is Thursday, April 9th, 2020. This would be the first day of Passover or Holy Thursday, depending on your religion or faith. So let's hear what Justin Trudeau has to say. Okay.
Bonjour tout le monde. I want to start off today by talking about the job report we just received for March. As stark as those numbers are, they aren't a surprise to a lot of Canadians. Each one represents a different story. A worker who's been laid off, a family that's having to hunker down, a community that's anxious about today and tomorrow. We've all seen the impact of COVID-19. We all knew this was going to be a tough time and that countries around the world are in a similar situation. But that's no comfort if you're out of a job, if you're having difficulty making ends meet. You need real support. So we're doing our best to help you bridge to better times. On Monday, we launched the Canada Emergency Response Benefit. More than 4.5 million claims have been processed, which means people are already receiving their $2,000 for this month. We're also working on legislation to bring in a wage subsidy to help employers keep people on the payroll while working on new loans for business owners. We will keep expanding our 3-point economic plan to protect jobs, business owners, and get everyone the help they need. Things will get better, and once they do, you can be sure that our country will come roaring back. As a country, we've gotten through tough times before. We've stood together, united and strong. On Vimy Ridge, more than 100 years ago today, thousands of Canadians gave their lives so that our country would know peace. Aujourd'hui, nous nous souvenons de ceux qui sont tombés à Vimy, il y a plus de 100 ans aujourd'hui. On se souvient des sacrifices qu'ils ont faits pour notre pays. Ils se sont battus pour défendre les valeurs qui sont chères, comme la démocratie, la liberté, l'égalité, pour les valeurs qui définissent encore notre pays. As historians have noted, reflecting on Vimy, it was a moment ordinary people did extraordinary things. Fathers and sons, brothers and friends, their sacrifice and courage defined what it is and what it meant to be a Canadian. And their legacy lives on in the women and men who continue to step up and serve us in uniform, in our nurses and doctors who put themselves in harm's way for us all to stay healthy, and in everyone who steps up and asks what they can do for their fellow Canadians. That's what makes Canada strong, and that will be our path forward, no matter what tomorrow may bring. Right now, the future can seem even more uncertain than normal. If you've lost your job, if you're worried about an elderly parent, you probably want to know what to expect. Earlier today, we released our modeling on how we think this pandemic might unfold. The modeling shows COVID-19 arrived in Canada later than in other countries. So we're in an earlier stage of the outbreak That means we have the chance to determine what our country looks like in the weeks and months to come. Our healthcare systems across the country are coping for the time being, but we're at a fork in the road between the best and the worst possible outcomes. The best possible outcome is no easy path for any of us. The initial peak, the top of the curve, may be in late spring with the end of the first wave in the summer. As Dr. Tam explained, there will likely be smaller outbreaks for a number of months after that. This will be the new normal until a vaccine is developed. But as we saw, that is so much better than we could face, all of us, if we do not rise to the challenge of this generation. The path we take is up to us. It depends on what each of us does right now. It will take months of continued, determined effort. We'll need to keep practicing physical distancing, staying home, and washing our hands. It will help. It will help get the numbers that Dr. Tam was talking about, between 4,000 and 44,000 deaths, as low as possible. Je sais que la Dr. Tam et toute l'équipe de l'Agence de la santé publique ont travaillé très fort pour préparer ces prévisions. Et pour nous assurer que toutes les informations sont à jour, nous avons été en communication constante avec les provinces et les territoires pour obtenir leurs dernières données. Plus tôt aujourd'hui, nous avons dévoilé nos projections. Les modèles démontrent que la COVID-19 est arrivée au Canada plus tard que dans d'autres pays, donc on est à un stade plus précoce de l'épidémie. Ça veut dire que nos gestes ont encore plus d'importance pour décider à quoi notre pays va ressembler dans les semaines et dans les mois à venir. Pour l'instant, nos systèmes de santé tiennent le coup, mais on est à la croisée des chemins. La route qui va nous mener aux meilleurs résultats ne sera pas facile. On pourrait atteindre le sommet de la courbe à la fin du printemps et la première vague pourrait se terminer pendant l'été. Mais comme la Dr. Tam l'a expliqué, on va probablement connaître d'autres vagues d'infection moins importantes pendant un certain nombre de mois. C'est et ce sera notre nouvelle réalité jusqu'à ce qu'on trouve un vaccin. Mais comme on l'a vu ce matin, c'est le meilleur scénario qui pourrait se produire. Si on l'a vu ce matin, c'est un meilleur scénario que ce qui pourrait se produire si on refusait d'agir. La route qu'on va prendre dépend entièrement de nous tous. Il va falloir être discipliné pendant les prochains mois. On va devoir continuer à rester chez nous et continuer à nous laver les mains. C'est comme ça qu'on va éviter des milliers de décès et qu'on va réduire de cas. I know it's tough to stay home, especially as the weather gets nicer. If you have kids, it's even tougher. But to get them back outside and running around the playground and park as soon as possible, you need to keep them inside for a little longer. This will work, and we'll be with you every step of the way. Just this week, we received millions more masks to keep our frontline workers safe, and we have contracts to get more ventilators. We're helping industry mobilize, like the entrepreneur from Vars, Ontario, who's creating reusable visors for hospitals across the province. And we've continued to support Canadian researchers working on a vaccine. We're pulling out all the stops to the virus and help you get through this time. On doit tous faire notre part, les gouvernements, les entreprises et les citoyens. Donc, continuez de rester chez vous. Allez faire votre épicerie une fois par semaine et une fois par semaine seulement, ou encore moins souvent. Et si vous devez sortir, gardez 2 mètres de distance entre vous et les autres. C'est comme ça qu'on va protéger les personnes vulnérables. C'est comme ça qu'on va protéger nos aînés. C'est comme ça qu'on va sauver des vies. Et c'est comme ça qu'on va aider nos infirmières et nos médecins qui font un travail extraordinaire à chaque jour. Je sais que c'est pas facile. mais c'est pas pour toujours. Éventuellement, on va pouvoir retourner au cinéma, au restaurant et au parc. Mais pour ça, tout le monde doit faire sa part maintenant et pour les semaines à venir. Over 100 years ago today, Canadians showed what metal we are made of. I know each of us will rise to be worthy of the legacy of the heroes that built this country. We can do this together. Merci tout le monde.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Premier ministre. On va maintenant passer à la période de questions en commençant par le téléphone. Modérateur, c'est à vous.
Merci. Thank you. La première question est de Michel Lamarche, TVA Nouvelles. À vous.
Bonjour, Monsieur Trudeau. J'aimerais vous entendre sur ces vagues dont a parlé la Dr Tam un peu plus tôt. J'aimerais savoir si, voyant que ça peut continuer jusqu'en décembre, avec des vaguelettes vers la fin, vous êtes prêt à reconduire tous vos programmes d'aide jusque-là?
Nous allons être là pour aider les Canadiens aussi longtemps que ça pourrait prendre. Mais nous savons tous que la longueur que ça prend va dépendre énormément de ce qu'on est en train de faire. Que les Canadiens continuent à rester chez eux, qu'on continue de faire du dépistage de façon agressive, qu'on continue de suivre les contacts quand nécessaire. Nous allons pouvoir rester dans les projections les plus minimes et on devrait passer au-delà de cette première vague. Oui, il va y avoir d'autres vagues tant qu'on n'aura pas de vaccin. Mais ces vagues-là vont être beaucoup plus faciles à gérer et avec les connaissances et l'équipement qu'on est en train de développer maintenant et par l'habitude que les Canadiens vont pouvoir développer de prendre les mesures pour se garder en sécurité. Okay.
Est-ce que...
We recognize that what we are doing today is making a difference. And we are hopeful that we're going to be able to get through this in the shortest amount of time. But no matter how long it takes, we will be there to support Canadians in order to get through this. We know, though, that in order for it to last as short as it can and to harm as few Canadians as possible, we need to keep doing what we are doing. That is what leads us to the best scenario. And once we're through this first wave, as we look to the resurgences that will happen over the coming months until we discover a vaccine, now, we will be much better equipped, both with aggressive testing strategies that we're developing right now, with aggressive contact tracing, and with Canadians who know what to do when they have to socially distance, to stay home where and when necessary in the coming months.
Suivi.
On a bien compris, Monsieur le Premier ministre, qu'aider les Canadiens à ce moment-ci, ça n'a pas de prix. Mais j'aimerais savoir s'il y a une évaluation des coûts qui a été faite pour les prochains mois et est-ce qu'on aura les moyens de se permettre de dépenser encore des centaines de milliards de dollars, peut-être jusqu'en décembre?
C'est une des raisons pour laquelle c'est tellement important de passer à travers cette première vague le plus rapidement possible. C'est pour ça que pendant les semaines à venir, les gens vont devoir rester chez eux et limiter leurs déplacements au maximum. Quand on sera à travers cette première vague, comme on a vu dans les modèles, on va pouvoir ouvrir un peu l'économie, laisser les mesures, mettre des mesures de côté pour l'instant, pendant qu'on gère cette nouvelle réalité dans laquelle on va être, pour permettre à une certaine reprise économique. Mais effectivement, tout dépend de ce qu'on est en train de faire. Mais quelle que soit la durée des choses, nous allons être là pour s'aider les uns les autres, parce que c'est ce qu'on fait entre Canadiens, et on sait que si on veut reprendre le cours de la vie de façon normale éventuellement, il faut que les gens aient l'appui nécessaire pour passer à travers.
Merci. Prochaine question, modérateur.
Thank you. Merci. The next question, Mia Rabson, the Canadian Press. Line open.
Good morning. I'm just wondering, given the new projections today, do you think that we're going to have stronger measures necessary to keep people at home? Do you think people are listening? And what are those measures that you think we might need to add?
We have seen that the measures that have been taken seriously by Canadians right across the country. People are staying home. People are choosing to go out only for necessities. They are working from home as much as possible. And these are the measures we know are going to keep us on the right path. Are there things we can do to strengthen and improve? Sure, and we'll keep looking at those. But the big things that we're going to be able to improve in the coming weeks is stronger and more sophisticated and aggressive testing protocols, because every day we get better at that. And continuing to develop tools for better contact tracing. We know that those things, on top of the social distancing that we're doing right now, have the best impact on keeping this curve as short and as low as possible.
Follow-up?
And I'm also wondering if there are going to be multiple waves of this, if we aren't going to be able to sort of get out of this until we find a vaccine, which we're told is 12 to 18 months away at best, do you envision that we're going to have multiple waves of shutdowns, lockdowns, closures of the economy? And how can we handle those kinds of constant shutdowns?
I think even after we're through this first wave, we will need to remain vigilant and we will need to bring in different measures. Normality, as it was before, will not come back full on until we get a vaccine for this. And as you say, that could be a very long way off. But once we get through this first wave, we will have developed both tools and habits that will allow us to be much more resilient and resistant to further outbreaks and spreads, that will be able to be kept localized, that will be able to fight against and protect our most vulnerable from over the coming months. It will require continued actions in different places and quick responses. But part of getting through this wave in a rapid way will be because we are developing the tools that will also help us when those wavelets come forward in the coming months. Okay. Ce que nous reconnaissons, c'est que même si on passe à travers cette présente vague qui est importante pour ce pays, cette première vague, on ne va pas revenir à la normale complètement. La normalité, comme elle était avant, ne pourra pas revenir tant qu'il n'y aura pas de vaccin. Et ça pourrait être dans un an et demi, on ne le sait pas exactement. On espère plus tôt. Mais notre capacité en tant que société et en tant que système de répondre à ces petits moments de défi qu'on vivra, ces petites épidémies qui seront plus localisées, et pour lesquels on aura plus d'outils pour répondre, vont nous permettre de reprendre énormément de nos activités. Mais effectivement, il va falloir qu'on reste vigilant pour l'année à venir.
Merci. Prochaine question.
Thank you. Merci. The next question, Maura Forrest, Politico. Line open.
Yes, thank you, Prime Minister. Today, obviously, there's been a lot of grim announcements that people have had to take in, both in terms of job numbers and in terms of these projections. They're getting this information as they're heading into a holiday weekend, when they're being asked not to celebrate with their families. I'm just wondering how you think Canadians should react to this today.
I think, obviously, this is difficult news. This is news that reflects, particularly in the job numbers, a reality that millions of Canadians have been feeling over the past weeks. That the real impact on not just our economy, but on the lives of Canadians, of workers, of families, of communities, is significant and real. But what we're also seeing in numbers from different parts of the country is that there is a light at the end of this tunnel. That if we keep doing the things that we're doing the way we're doing, as we've seen in other countries, we are able to minimize the level of the impact of this wave of COVID-19. We are unfortunately going to continue to lose people across this country in the coming weeks. But we also know that there are things that we can continue to do to make sure we get through this first wave as quickly and as low impactly as possible. That's why as we gather with the immediate family members that we're sharing a home with right now, as we FaceTime to our loved ones and reflect through this Easter weekend, we need to know that we will continue, we can continue to do what is necessary for the coming weeks and months to get through this first wave in the right way so we can get back to being there for each other in the coming year.
Follow-up?
Yes, thank you. Dr. New this morning said he was going to be celebrating this weekend virtually with his family. How will you be celebrating?
I'm hoping to be able to see my family this weekend. Of course, the priority is ensuring that we're getting the legislation passed. Conversations are still ongoing with members of the opposition parties. We know that we need to pass this legislation to get the help to people that is needed. That's why while we continue discussions around democratic processes and defending our institutions, which will be ongoing, which is really important to me and to all of us, we need to move forward on getting this legislation moving through the House so we can get the help out to Canadians, and that is my focus this weekend.
En français.
Okay. J'espère pouvoir passer un peu de temps avec ma famille cette fin de semaine, mais la réalité, c'est que notre priorité, c'est de passer le projet de loi qui va permettre d'aider encore plus de gens, d'envoyer l'aide pour les travailleurs via les entreprises. C'est pour ça que nous sommes en train de continuer les discussions avec les partis d'opposition. Bien sûr, nous avons besoin d'assurer que notre démocratie continue à fonctionner, qu'on a des institutions fortes dans ces systèmes, dans ce moment difficile, mais nous devons absolument la Chambre pour passer ce projet de loi, pour pouvoir aider les gens, et j'espère que les partis d'opposition seront d'accord avec moi que cette aide aux Canadiens ne peut pas attendre.
Merci. Dernière question, modérateur.
Thank you. Merci. Prochaine question. Hélène Buzetti, Le Devoir. À vous.
Oui, bonjour, M. Trudeau. Justement, sur ce projet de loi, concernant le projet de loi, on comprend que les conservateurs posent comme condition à leur appui que le Parlement siège désormais en personne, en version réduite. Pourquoi n'acceptez-vous pas cette condition? Ce serait quoi le problème, puisqu'on l'a déjà fait il y a 2 semaines pour adopter ces 13?
D'abord, on est très ouvert, et comme on a démontré, à ramener le Parlement pour passer des projets de loi importants, pour faire le travail que les gens s'attendent du gouvernement et du Parlement. Mais nous savons aussi que nous devons suivre les recommandations des experts en santé et de ne pas rassembler les gens si ce n'est pas absolument nécessaire. Il y a des façons virtuelles de le faire, et quand on rassemble, même en mode réduit, il y a des gardes de sécurité, il y a des gens qui travaillent dans la bâtisse qui vont être là, qui doivent être là pour nous appuyer, et on veut minimiser ces impacts-là. Mais on va absolument continuer de chercher des façons et de travailler des façons d'assurer qu'on puisse garder une démocratie forte et des institutions fortes. On est très ouvert à ça, mais je trouve qu'on est au moment où on ne devrait pas empêcher le passage d'un projet de loi important juste parce qu'on veut continuer d'avoir ces discussions. Ces discussions vont et doivent continuer.
Et en question, alors est-ce que...
Pardon, Hélène, je vais juste répondre en anglais d'abord. I think it's extremely important that we do have strong democratic institutions that continue to function to serve Canadians, to get the help needed to Canadians, and provide that input from voices across the country on the impact that things are having in their community. That is essential, and we're going to continue to talk with opposition parties about how we can make sure that our institutions and our parliament continues to function. It is something to remember that when we do gather in smaller numbers, first of all, it still requires a significant number of support staff to come into work to be there while Parliament is functioning, and that puts them at risk as well. but it's also something that doesn't allow for members of Parliament who live in further off parts of the countries to be weighing in and make sure that their communities are being heard. That's why we are so interested in looking for virtual ways of gathering the House, and we're going to continue to work on that. But it's, I think, really important that parliamentarians get together to make sure that the work of getting the help to Canadians happens and happens quickly, while these continued conversations about furthering our democracy in this moment of crisis continue. It's not the time to further delay getting help to Canadians.
Et en sous-question, M. Scheer dit que ce n'est pas grave tout ça parce que de toute façon, l'infrastructure gouvernementale pour sortir l'argent n'est pas encore prête, donc ça ne crée pas de délai. Êtes-vous d'accord? Et dans le fond, s'il y a un délai, est-ce que c'est les conservateurs qui sont responsables en posant une condition ou est-ce vous qui êtes responsable parce que vous refusez de faire un compromis?
Je suis un peu déconcerté par ce commentaire, si c'est effectivement M. Scheer qui l'a dit, parce que nous trouvons que les débats et les discussions en Chambre, les discours en Chambre, sont souvent un endroit où on voit les impacts et on peut modifier ou ajuster le projet de loi pour avoir encore un meilleur impact. Je ne crois pas qu'aucun parti, même un parti au gouvernement, sait exactement tout ce qui se passe dans toutes les circonstances et les parlementaires ont un rôle extrêmement important à participer pour améliorer des projets de loi, même un projet de loi dans une situation d'urgence. Et pour moi, de pouvoir rassembler les parlementaires, c'est pas juste de mettre une étampe sur un projet qu'on aurait discuté à l'avance, c'est pour avoir un vrai débat, pour pouvoir s'assurer qu'on est en train de faire les bonnes choses pour les Canadiens. Et si c'est effectivement ce que M. Scheer a dit, je suis un peu déçu de son manque de compréhension de l'importance du débat informé qui se passe au Parlement quand on se penche sur des projets de loi. Okay. If indeed Mr. Scheer suggested that the debate and discussions had by parliamentarians around a given piece of legislation don't really have an impact, I choose to disagree. I think it's really important that we hear voices from every corner of the country on the potential impacts or potential improvements to the bill we're putting forward. I think that's how Parliament is supposed to work, and that's how Canadians consider that Parliament is supposed to work. So I very much look forward to the debate on our wage subsidy to see how it's going to impact and hear from every corner of the country as much as we can on how we can make sure that it's doing the right things for Canadians. Parliament matters. The debate that happens in Parliament matters, and you can't just shrug it off like a rubber stamp that doesn't matter, because I know how deeply it matters that we have proper and robust debate on this.
David Thurton, CBC News. Prime Minister, documents show that the government has been preparing for a pandemic for over a decade, since the outbreak of SARS. But we're seeing now that, it seems like the government has been caught off guard and Canadians are paying up the price for that. What went wrong in your planning?
I think we've seen countries around the world caught off guard by the nature of this epidemic. The challenges that we've faced in terms of getting Canadians protected are echoed in challenges faced around the world, and some countries are handling it better than others. I think Canada has done a good job of keeping on a path that is going to minimize as much as possible the reality we're in right now, and that's why we need to continue to do the things that we're doing, staying home, contact tracing, aggressive testing, and why we need to continue to listen to experts on next things we can do or other things we need to do to ensure that we're having the minimal possible impact on Canadians. And of course, there'll be lots of lessons learned from this, as there were lessons learned from SARS, and we're going to learn them and bring them into play.
What went wrong in the government's planning?
I think we all know that this was a situation that we're adjusting as best we can to. We took the advice of experts. We moved forward in significant ways. As we look back at the end of this, I'm sure people will say, oh, you could have done this a few days before, or maybe you did this one too quickly and you could have taken a few more days to reflect on it. every step of the way, we make the best decisions we can, given the information we have. And if it's not exactly right, we fix it and we try and get it better as we move forward. I think that's what Canadians expect.
Hi, Prime Minister. Molly Thomas, CTV National News. Your government says they're negotiating with the opposition right now. Can you help Canadians understand what is the holdup to recalling Parliament? This wage subsidy is sitting on the table. There are businesses we're talking to on the brink of bankruptcy here. What is the holdup right now?
My understanding is that the legislation itself is largely seen as the right solution by other parties. They may have little tweaks and improvements to make, and we look forward to working with them on suggestions or amendments that they have. But there seems to be a sense from the official opposition that this is a moment to define or determine how Parliament will function in the coming weeks, and they are negotiating around the structures. We've said we're of course happy to have these conversations. We've put forward some proposals around things that we think could work to both minimize the risk to Canadians while moving towards a virtual Parliament and ensuring the debate and accountability that is so important in our democracy. And we just hope that the official opposition will choose to realize that we need to pass this legislation quickly to get the help out to Canadians as quickly as possible. Okay. Ma compréhension, c'est que le projet de loi comme tel a généralement l'appui des partis de l'opposition. Ils reconnaissent que c'est important. Ils ont sûrement des réflexions, peut-être des modifications à proposer. On est très ouvert à le prendre. Mais l'opposition officielle est en train d'insister que c'est un moment aussi pour déterminer de quoi devra avoir l'air le Parlement pour les semaines à venir, d'amener des mesures très fortes. Et nous, on est ouvert à parler de ça, mais on trouve que c'est une conversation qu'on devrait avoir en parallèle avec le processus du projet de loi qui devrait être passé le plus rapidement possible pour aider les Canadiens le plus vite possible.
Okay, you've been listening to Justin Trudeau give us an update on what is going on with COVID-19 and how Parliament is going to move forward to using a virtual model, and so that all the communities across Canada can actually participate in Parliament safely without large amounts of travel. So thank you for listening to Depictions Media, and we look forward to speaking with you later on today.